Who am I and what am I doing here? Well, I'm a professional cosplayer, but I've been cosplaying for 15 years. My first costume was my OC from Sailor Moon. I was 9 years old and my grandmother made it for me. And ever since, it's been like a drug. Everyone's like, well, you will stop cosplaying once you pass 20. And I'm 28. This October, like, how old am I? Ooh, the lights, yay! Let us go start.
Well,
Too much? Too much.
okay.
I hope you see some of the pictures.
That's not good for me.
Sometimes I cosplay ponies, as you know. Other times, I cosplay ladies. And sometimes I cosplay boys. And I cosplay monsters. Usually when I've been cosplaying, it's like year after year I do different stuff. This year it's only been brony costumes. Only MLP. And like the next year I'm planning to do more males because they're very popular with my female audience. Need to satisfy the ladies. So, you're just going to start your new cosplay, right? Because you need to start planning for MCM Expo and stuff like that. So, what do you start to think about? You need to have a wig. You need to have makeup if you want to. The fabric, the shoes, the lenses, the props, the tools, and all of the groups and stuff. Because when people come to me, and they're often like, well, Yami, I just need fabric. And they have only budgeted for the fabrics. And then they run out of money. So always like, say that, well, I want this costume to cost 50 pounds. So maybe the fabric can only cost 10 pounds. So really try to think of your budget because you don't want to run out of money with a half-finished costume. It's the worst. This is a classic one. This one says, oh, I have plenty of time, says every cosplayer, including myself. And also the creative process. Work begins. Panic. All the work while crying, and deadline. So far, I have never finished my costume in my hotel room, but I have finished it one day before the con. And it's awful. I mean, okay, how many people have finished a costume one day before the con? Yeah. So always start, the bigger the costume, more planning. When I'm doing my monster costumes, it's usually 6 months. I start to plan everything and like, where can I buy cheap stuff and can I get some for sales? Because the earlier you start, the better price. If you have to buy a wig like last minute, it will be more expensive. Because people know that, so I decided, for example, for this like small introduction thingy, to take Fluttershy. Woo! And I wanted to take her gala costume, because you saw that in the other picture. When you're choosing a costume, it's not, to me, it's usually like, which version do I want? What kind of aesthetic do I want? So here's an example of just Fluttershy that I decided to take. I can go the route with very natural, fairy type, or maybe a ball gown, because it's a ball, or you can be more creative and do like an armor on her. Because this is the deal with MLP costumes. You can do whatever you please. It's a pony. It's not a human, so you can do whatever you please. And that's why I love MLP costumes. Because if I'm cosplaying from a video game, it's like, I have to make that. Like, it needs to look exactly like the picture. But with MLP, you can do whatever you want. Because it's a pony. So remember that, nothing is wrong, especially with MLP costumes. You can do whatever. This is a Swedish saying. Taget oss vatten över huvudet. Don't bite it off more than you can chew. And of course, Panic Twilight. People often ask me with their first costume, like, Yami, I want to do my first costume. And I'm like, great, what will you do? And they're like, I want to do this Gundam that's 2 meters high, and it will be made out of armor. And I'm like, as your first costume? Maybe you shouldn't do that as your first costume. Or if you have plenty of time. I mean, time is always. If you have 2 years to make a costume, it will look amazing, I promise. So that's like like, I've done this myself, of course. I mean, we're all guilty. But if you're making a costume, remember the time. Like, you can't work, I work like 15 hours a day on a costume, and it's really not that, I don't recommend it. And of course, if everything fails when you're working with the costume, I usually cry a lot, and then I rethink. Because every single one of my costumes that I've made, it's always like, it looks perfect, and then I try it on, and like, oh, I can't snap my back. It's too tight, or it's too big. And I have to like scrap the entire costume and like start over again. It happens on every single costume. And it helps, because the costume actually turns out better after the changing. I don't know, it's like chaos theory or something. It always gets better. So, let's say you have finished your costume, and now it's time to finally go to the convention. But we need some stuff to bring, right? We can't just bring our costume, because that would be so easy and so much fun. We have to just bring stuff. Usually, sewing repair kits for cosplay, like, you know, sewing threads, needles, hot glue gun, stuff like that. Makeup, because if you're running around in a costume for 15 hours, you need to like put on more makeup if you're wearing makeup. Wig comb, always comb your wigs. Remember that? Always comb your wigs. If you have 5 minutes that you're free, comb your wig, okay? Food and snacks, and with cosplay friendly, I mean, don't eat that giant huge McDonald's burger. Or sushi, you know, when you're dropping the sushi piece into the soy and you're like, yeah, that was fun. So always try to, I usually go for soups, or stuff you can drink, or protein shakes. Then after the cosplay is done, I will do it today, I will like binge food, like crazy. And of course, medication. I am allergic to almost everything. So I have a ton of allergy medicine with me, just to make sure. And painkillers. Because usually when you have a tight wig on, you will get the worst headaches ever. And it's like, people taking pictures of you. And of course, drink a lot of water. I said this a lot at Finland and still continue, drink waters. If you can't go to the toilet, that's bad. Don't drink water, I guess. And also change of clothing. If you have high heels on, hate high heels. I love how they look, but I hate high heels because they hurt my feet so bad. So try to, and also, if you're going home late at night, maybe you shouldn't wear that pony costume. Yeah. Because people are, you know, they're evil. People outside in the real world are evil, so maybe you should have like a change or just put a blanket on or something. Because I've been stalked through like some really creepy neighborhoods in Sweden just because I wear a costume. And I don't know if you heard it, but it was some problem at Comic-Con in San Diego about a girl. Yeah, she was, yeah, they told like she was beaten or something on their way home because she was wearing a cosplay, so don't trust people. So, you're at the convention! Just have fun. Don't think too much, because then you will lose the spirit of cosplay. Just have fun. Don't care so much. And yeah, if you want to join the politics, do that. Yeah, one is. So, you have finished your costume, you have been to a convention. What do you do with your costume? You can sell it. A lot of people sell their costume, and I think it's a great idea. Why not? I don't sell my costumes because they're my babies. I call them my babies. I'm like, I can't sell mine. But I would if I had the courage to do it. You can also recycle the costume. That's the best. For this costume, this is actually a Megurine Luca wig from BUCK'14 that I used before. And the wings are for my Swedish purple. And the wings are from my shed Fluttershy costume. So it's always, I think that's the best part, recycle everything. Because why spend more money than you have to? Oh, and the lenses are from my Sunset Shimmers. So, yeah. Of course, and you can store the stuff. I usually store bigger costumes in cardboard boxes, and then smaller ones in plastic boxes. And always bubble wrap. everything. Like, everything needs to be bubble wrap. So, now I will do some Q&A, because that usually is pretty popular, and you can ask me anything. Try to keep it friendly. Do I have any questions about anything? You?
What would you say was your most difficult?
Oh, definitely my witch doctor costume from the Ellsworth, because it was like body paint for 6 hours. Yay, hooray. And I couldn't wear a bra underneath because it's actually the male version, so I was topless. And that's always interesting with boobs. So it's like, if I jumped, it would be like, oh, boobs are free. And also LED lights, and you know what happened with LED lights? Like one small spark and everything's gone, forever. So, and it was super uncomfortable, I didn't see anything, but I looked good, so yeah, it was worth it. It's worth it. Remember that, always, like, if I usually say, like, a cosplay should not be comfortable, it should look pretty. Oh. And you?
What's new with your hair if you're wearing a wig?
Oh, what I do with it? I have long black hair. I've had short hair also. I usually, I take a shower, and I put a ton of hairspray, and like, put it back, like, bleh, super a lot. And then I put a wig cap on. It's like a stocking, like, on your head, super tight, super ugly. And then you put the wig on. You can also have tape, like double-sided tape that you put on your forehead and then push the wig on. Especially if you don't have hair. Then it could be nice to have something to fasten.
Hey, I was wondering, what material did you use to make armor?
Oh, my favorite. I make a lot of armor. It's really fun, but it costs a ton of money. I usually use Eva foam or craft foam because it's easy, it's cheap, and pretty easy to like carry around. I mean, of course, I would love to work in metal, but I'm allergic to nickel that's in metal, so that wouldn't be good. And then also, I mean, how do I fit that in my tiny 2-bedroom apartment? It doesn't fit. I would love to do it, but and also with craft foam, it's so cheap, so you can experiment with it forever. That's the best thing, like experiment. Do tiny cubes, do swords for your friends, do stuff. Oh, you?
Yeah, a lot of stuff being extremely long items. How do you ship them? How do you like get something to fold?
Yeah.
Like take them apart?
Yeah, usually with screws. So you like screw it apart and then, but actually like the same thing is like if you have to travel with airplane, don't have big props on the costume. It's sad, but it's like, that's usually how I do
Yeah,
it.
so nothing like shipping or anything.
I would never, I've heard like my friends in the US, they usually fit by FedEx and stuff. But one of my friends, Johnny Junkers, his Draven weapons got lost in the vein. And he was like, hi, I'm at the convention, I'm half naked and I don't have my props. Because he made the gladiator Draven, so I was like, naked. So yeah, I mean, I would never ship them by mail because I don't trust the mail office. Sorry, but I keep it in my suitcase. And like, maybe you can make it smaller, even that you want a 3-meter long sword, maybe you can make it a smaller sword, just for this convention. Because then you have a sword. Yeah.
What's the most expensive cosplay that you've made? Like how much
Oh,
money did you put into it?
Let's see. I think it's actually the Witch Doctor one again. Because it has a ton of feathers, and feathers are super expensive. And when I am buying feathers, I don't want to buy them from like chicken farms. I want them to be hand-picked on the ground, so you don't hurt the chickens. So I'm very like, you can't hurt the chickens, love the chickens. And also it has peacock feathers and white eagle feathers or something like that. So all of the feathers, super expensive. And I had to hand cut every single feather. Because a feather is it never looks like in the anime. In anime, wings look amazing. They're like, oh, perfect. But in real life, it's like, a feather is like, meh. So you have to hand cut it in the tops. So it gets that pointy edge. And it cost me, let's see, how much is that in pounds? 1,000 pounds? But I would never make a costume that expensive again. It was like once in a lifetime, because that was my dream cosplay. So I really wanted to make it, and I'm like, I have it on my wall, so I guess it serves its purpose. Wall decoration. Yeah.
I'm sorry, luckily I had no idea, sorry.
Let's take it again. Yeah. With
When
wings?
I'm wearing this curly,
Yeah.
you know, it feels like I'll get
Ah.
is the cast for that?
Yeah. First off, always bring combs. Oh, it's so boring to say, but it's like always bring combs. And then I am using a product that's super cheap. I think it's called No More Tangle or something here in the UK. It's usually for kids. You know, kids are like, don't brush my hair, mom. You're evil. So I actually tried it on my wigs, and like it cost like £2 instead of those super expensive wig thingies. So I use that, spray it in the hair, and then I comb it. Yeah. Hey, just email me and I can send you a link to the bottle and see how it works. But I'm using that one. I usually don't use like I never use like expensive products. Like I want to stay on budget, so we can make more costumes.
From the commissions, how would you go about it? I mean, do they come contact you? I mean, what is the kind of thing you have?
I have actually a commissioned costume here today. This is my friend Alex. He's from Sweden. And this is the costume I made for him today. Yeah, and he actually contacted me. He was like, Yami, I wanted to make my costume. And I think it was like a year ago, maybe?
Yeah, after BUCK'.
Yeah. So start early. Don't ask a cosplayer to make a costume 1 week before the con, because she or he will be working on their costume. So really in advance. And always talk to the cosplayer what you want. Do you want exactly like the picture, or do you want the cosplayer to do their own interpretation of what they believe?
And price-wise, how do you sort out the price?
Really depends on the materials, I would say.
So you have to like prepare a list beforehand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I did with
Oh,
Alex. He was like,
long
I
time.
want to have this, and I have to do all the research for how much it would cost and get the best price and stuff like that. So. My little Barbie doll is so cute. Yeah.
What would you say your best experience with cosplay was?
I think it was actually the first time I went abroad, and I went to Denmark to a convention called BUCK'14. And it was the first time, well, I went abroad and I got to see cosplay famous people. And they really got me inspired, because when you're a community, let's say Sweden, we don't have a ton of cosplayers. So you always see the same people doing the same costumes. When you go abroad, you're like, oh my god, this is the most amazing thing. Because you see new people, new costumes, new ideas, and also they have an amazing cosplay show. Because they have World Cosplay Summit qualifiers, Euro Cosplay gatherings that are really huge competitions that you can win a ton of money or a trip to Japan. So I think like go abroad to see other cosplayers. And then I think it's always the best thing when you go to another country, you can't even speak their language and you're wearing a costume. And you're like, it's just love, it's just love. And you're like, ah, I love you because we're from the same series and I have no idea what you're telling me. When I went to Belgium, everyone was speaking French and I was like, I have no idea. So that's the best, go abroad. Let's see, yeah.
Is there any costumes you have made and regretted making?
A ton of them, trust me. Like, especially when I make a costume and I'm like, it will be easy to wear, it will be awesome, and then it's like the worst. Like, especially the big ones, the bigger the costume gets, the more hard it will be to wear. I mean, it's the truth. The simpler, the more easy, and actually the more fun you usually have. When you have a huge costume, it's like, sorry, need to get through here, sorry, and like, you just go to the toilet, it's like, I will be back in an hour. Hopefully, like, hi guys. So I think one of the I really regretted was I made my Dead Master costume from Blackrock Shooter. I made it in 2 weeks. Bad idea. And I was like, well, I don't want to take the car, so let's take the train. Yeah, great idea, Yami. And of course, it was super hot in the Swedish summer, and I was wearing black with like props and stuff. And I remember actually people were like, oh, you need to save your costume, and I just throw it. I just throw it on the dump. I was like, I never want to see that costume ever again. I will remake her one day, but right now I'm like, so yeah. Yeah.
Yes, well, when I had a problem with the mortuary pair of ears, and I actually didn't have the right equipment to put together in a way I really wanted, I actually had to improvise with spring mount.
Yeah.
Spring mount?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's always worked, but what do you feel about, I presume you but what's your feeling about, like, you know, having to improvise with things
all
that
the
you
time.
normally use?
Yeah, all the time. Actually, one of my bracelets this morning, everything, I always look through my costumes, like everything looked perfect, and then it was like a small thread, like coming loose, and I was like, I just rip it off, and then like, oh, nah, it's breaking everything apart. So I'm like, hot glue gun, now. So in the hotel, like, quick, we have to go, and I'm like gluing the thing, and like, yeah, that will glue. That will last for like 2 hours or something. So yeah, all the time. And of course, wear your toolkit. You need your toolkit with hot glue gun and stuff like that. So yeah, all the time. I mean, I met so many cosplays, and everyone's like, they're perfect. Their costume never breaks. And I'm like, yeah, they are backstage. Because usually you don't stand like, you would never see me gluing like, here's the convention floor. Hi, I'm gluing here. I'm doing it backstage. Yeah, I'm keeping the illusion alive that everything I make is perfect and never falls apart. Yeah.
Is there a particular cosplay that you haven't done yet that you really want to do?
Yeah.
What is it and why?
Yeah, I'm actually I usually never go to Swedish conventions because I want to go abroad, and Brony conventions. We don't have Brony conventions in Sweden. Okay. So I'm actually planning to do a dramatic murder group. It's from a yaoi game. Yeah, girls. Yeah, they know. So, and I will be crosplaying. I haven't cosplayed a guy for like 3 years or something. So I really want to do that together with my 4 male friends that have no idea about anime. I'm like, you look good. I will make you a costume. And they're like, what's the anime about? I'm like, don't worry. Don't worry. It's okay, guys. And they're like, yeah, okay. So that will be my next one. And I will be taking a break from making new costumes until November, December. I do so much with like Brony conventions. I'm going to Equestria next week. So, yeah. But I think, yeah, that group, and I also want to make a Discord, like really male Discords, because I always wanted to have a beard. I wonder how that feels. And let's see, Nightmare Rarity would be fun. And maybe some new like characters will show up next year. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, usually like all of us cosplayers, we have planned costumes like 2 years in advance. We have usually a cosplay list. I have one of those, they're terrible. It's like 40 costumes. You're like, yeah, we'll make everyone. And then you make 2. Or if you're watching TV, I think you guys know what I mean. You're watching a new series. Let's see, you're watching like some new anime that's come on. And you're like, cosplay that, or playing a new game. Oh, I will totally cosplay that. Because that's how we are. So always try to have some like in-between time that you don't do anything. Because trust me, there will be a new costume that you can make that you haven't planned for. There's always that. Yeah.
I was a wonderful cosplay, but I wanted to really into some cosplay
Yeah. I am using a specific brand of hairspray. That's pretty cheap. Again, I don't want to use an expensive one. I think it's called Got2b hairspray.
Yeah.
And of course, there's a ton of cosplay tutorials on YouTube. You just Google like cloud wig or something like that, and like a ton of stuff will do. I made the Future Twilight wig last year for my friends who were in the cosplay show, and that one I used a comb and like comb. I don't know what it's called in English, but you're making the hair bigger. Usually you do it when backcomb. So you backcomb. Yeah, that makes sense. And then you hairspray it, and yeah. But it's a lot of work. I'm not really friends with wigs. I love to do armor, so I'm trying to like do simple wigs. But a lot of training. Maybe you should, what I should do actually is to buy 2 wigs. One like more cheap one that you can train on. And then for your real Wonderworld wig you can, because then you have trained. That's usually my biggest tip. And I always do that. I buy like 4 wigs, 4 different wigs, and then I take the good one. Because why not? Why not? You!
And I'm wondering about all these materials that are required at the time to replace and morph and stuff. And there's one, just primarily conducted somewhere backstage, would you recommend some manner of assistance to carry everything?
Assistance, slave, or handler. They have many names, but yeah. Usually, when I go to convention, I always have someone to help me out. And always someone you trust. You don't want to take that random guy over there. Take one of your best friends or friends. And best thing is if they're not in costume. Usually, when you see those, you know, cosplay girls from the States, you know, those really like model-like cosplay girls, you can always look in the behind and you will see their poor husband or fiance like carrying all her bags and her cameras. So yeah, always have someone. Or you can make secret pockets inside your costume for cell phones and stuff like that. Usually works with armor. Yeah, that's good. Cadence!
You mentioned that you were wearing contact lenses.
Yeah.
But what advice would you give for contact lenses and circle lenses? Because I've heard stories about dummies who have damaged their retinas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I've started using contact lenses when I was 15, and those were your color contacts. It took me like 4 hours to get them in, and it was really painful. The first thing, if you ever want to use lenses, go to, what's this called, optician? Yeah, always, don't buy lenses, go there first, because some people can't use lenses and they don't know about it. So always go there first. I did it with my mom, it was terrible. And she was like, yeah, you can have lenses, but just take care. And always wash your hands like 20 times when you're working with lenses. And because I have allergies, I need to be extra careful. Because if I get something in my eyes, it's like, yeah, I don't have eyes anymore. Thanks. I am using usually circle lenses because it really depends which costume I'm making. If I'm making a guy, I usually don't wear lenses because I need to be extra buff because I'm kind of girly. But if I'm a girl, I always use kind of big circle lenses. And people ask me a lot about lenses. If you don't want to use it, don't use it. That's it. Don't use it. Or if you can't use them, well, there is Photoshop. Say they're like 20 pounds photoshopping your eyes. Like, really, good to use. Link.
I'm working on a cosplay for the future that has quite a large scar down the eye. Is there anything you recommend for doing scars?
Yeah, I'm allergic to latex, but I'm still using it for costumes. So all of the latex materials are often very harsh on the skin, like really. So don't plan on doing a costume after the scarred one, because probably your skin will like, not anymore. So that's like first advice. Then there's a ton of products, of course. I usually use Creolan. That's a brand from, I think it's Germany actually. I think it's Germany. Because they're usually very hypoallergic and stuff like that. Don't go to costume stores and buy cheap stuff, because they can damage your skin really bad. That's the only thing, like, try to get professional stuff. Professional. They're pretty cheap still. It's like, they don't cost much. And also try it on your hand before you start. Just to make sure, do the allergy test. It's so boring to say it, but it will be worth it. And try, maybe you can do a test makeup 2 days before the con to see how it works out. You.
I've been wanting to make like a ballistic vest for a costume, but what would you say is a better material to use like a substitute?
I think it really depends. Do you want it to be more authentic, or do you just want it to look?
It's kind of like to look realistic.
Yeah, you just want to look it. Then you can use whatever. Like, usually, when I'm costuming, it's usually like, do I want to go authentic and like real leather and I have to do it by hand? Or I just take what looks good. So it really depends on what you like, actually. And go around to different stores and check the prices, because the prices can really like shift. I usually, I'm like, I buy cheap stuff and make them expensive. That's my advice. Make it look expensive. Don't buy overpriced stuff. And with clothes and stuff, go to, you guys have charity shops, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the best. Buy all the shoes there, because why should you buy new shoes when you still have to glue stuff on them or whatever? I always go to charity shops. It's like £5 for a pair of shoes instead of like £50 for a pair of shoes. Or clothing, if you need more basic costume, maybe Walking Dead costumes or Left 4 Dead or whatever. I mean, you don't want to buy a new suit. Just go to a charity shop and buy it, and maybe modify it a bit. I always do it, it's super cheap, really good. Yeah.
Do you have any advice for someone who's maybe just starting out and I don't know how to use a sewing machine, so like, because a lot of it seems to be involved in actually making the clothing part.
Yeah.
I have no experience with that, so.
Again, go to the charity shop and modify it, because then you have it like finished. I've done it a couple of times because it's usually also cheaper to buy it pre-made than go and buy fabrics, because fabrics are always expensive. And of course, train. I usually use like 2 seams. That's like the straight one and the zigzag one. I have a super old machine. It's like 15 years old, but it's my baby, so you know, it's been with me to too many costumes, so I don't want to throw it away. It's like baby. So, and of course, if you don't like sewing, a lot of people are like, no, that's the worst ever. Just do props, just do armor. Do what you feel are fun. That's the thing, especially when you're starting out, do fun stuff. Because if you're starting to do like really big projects, you will stop doing costumes because it's not fun anymore. That's how I started really basic and just did close to my art costumes. And now I can make like more bigger ones that maybe I don't really feel that connected to, but I love the design. So, yeah, start small. Yeah.
Now, I would like to ask, what was your cheapest?
Let's see, that was just basic. I think my L is from Left 4 Dead, because it was a pair of jeans, the official t-shirt, and the cap. And like a brown wig. I was like, that's fine. And I'm a huge Left 4 Dead fan, so I have an entire wall with Left 4 Dead stuff, and I'm such a huge Elvis fan girl, so I think that's usually, I think that's my cheapest one. Guys are usually like males, super cheap. Female costumes, super expensive. If you're not making full body armor, of course. So guys, you should be lucky. Yay. Yay. Yeah. You.
I was wondering about specifically, how do you recommend securing the back?
Wigs. Yeah, I was like, wigs? What? I want a wig. I have straps that goes here. So they are running across my back, and always make them super comfortable. And don't make like super skinny straps because they will hurt like hell after 2 hours. And even more or less like throw them out. Like, I hate this costume. I hate my life. I hate this position. So make the wings comfortable and try to hide the straps with hair, for example. That's really a nice tip. If you're using a long wig, just hide stuff. That's like great tip, hide stuff. If you don't like something on a costume, just hide it. Fake it until you make it. So I fake everything. That's usually what I do. Let's see, did I have someone in the... You in the back!
I'm debating as cosplay with Vanellope next year from Wreck-It Ralph. Would you advise sticking sweets in the wig or making sort of clips to put in the wig instead?
I think clips actually. Especially because then you can be recycle the wig for other costume. Like make two, maybe you should, let's see. Yeah, because I think if you glue it onto the wig, it will actually fall off because the wig is plastic. I think it will like, start to slip, and then you get like, I had actually that problem with my CU ears because I decided to change ears on a costume, and I've already glued them onto a headband under the wig. So when I removed them, there was residues of glue everywhere. So it's like, that was a 50-pound wig. Yeah.
Would you recommend like a sealant around things like sweets, like maybe hairspray?
Yeah, like clear sealant. Or make the candy in a female clay or something like that. I think that would be the most depressing thing to do. It also looks better because when you put seal on candy, it gets that yellowish glue. And though, yeah, I made that really fast. Yeah.
Yeah, the photographer and cosplayer relationship. I mean, I'm actually a photographer myself, and a lot of years ago, I know I actually did follow two people a lot. I don't know whether you're ready to like that. Anyway, how would you really like assign the cosplayer? What would you say, like, go down, right out, kind of thing?
Yeah. Always treat your photographers with respect, and the photographers treat the cosplayers with respect. I've had really bad photographers in the past. Always do your research about a photographer. If you really like his work before the con, check it out. Does it look good? And always email him beforehand. If you just want to take photos of a cosplayer, don't make them go outside. I've been forced outside so many times by photographers. It's like super cold and like, yeah, I want pictures over there. You see, 200 miles that way. And you're like, you know, then I just drop it because I can't walk with my costume. And I mean, remember the cosplayer has spent so much money and time on his or her costume. So you need to like pet them carefully and tell them how pretty they are. Always tell the cosplayer how pretty they are. You will get a ton more pictures like that.
What about like overheating, I mean, there's a lot of
cosplayers
get like
so
stressed, so.
Yeah, especially with armors and fursuiters and stuff like that. Ask them. Hi, I'm a photographer. I would love to have pictures of you. Where would you like me to take your pictures? And we were like outside, inside, in the toilet, backstage. It depends.
What do you have planned?
Yeah. And also, if you're underage, never go alone with a photographer. I think that's actually never go alone with a photographer anyway, because you never know. Maybe the photographer is nice, but his friend is an asshole. It's like, you don't know that, and that had happened to me with my den master, actually. I was walking away with a photographer, and I was like, it's outside, nothing will happen, and he started to like, can you lick your fingers? What? And I was like, she doesn't do that. And he's like, but I would love to see it. And I was like, this photography is over. It's like, and they take like underskirt pictures and nice stuff like that.
Maybe you can use that for that, seriously.
Yeah, it's like, so.
People that do bad things working there, right?
Yeah, and always, if you're a photographer at the end of the photo shoot, or if you're just like us, we're just walking around and taking pictures of pretty people, give them a card. This is a really good tip. They're called cosplay cards, but I use them as business cards or whatever. And when you meet someone, let's say someone takes a picture of me, like, oh, Yami, I want a picture. Yeah, sure. They take a picture, and then I give them my card. Because that picture could be a really good one, and you don't want to miss it. And photographers should always have these cards, always. Because when you're photographing a cosplayer for an hour, and we don't get any pictures from it, that have happened to me. I waited 8 months now for a private photo shoot. I still haven't got the pictures. It sucks. It really sucks.
Sorry to go back about the wigs. Would you advise a website for people who have, I don't know, say, larger heads? Like normal wigs can't fit?
Guys,
Yeah.
males.
Yeah.
I think are the wigs because they're American. So yeah, because Americans have big heads, I guess. But because they are more upper class, they're more expensive. I usually buy super cheap wigs and then I restyle them and stuff like that. But they're always like, oh, Chinese website, so everything is super small. So like put it on your head and then you get headache. So maybe Arda wigs, I would say. Yeah, I think they're the most professional.
Before you said you were scared of doing your, selling your clothes, selling your cosplays. Well, before you said you were scared of selling your cosplays, is it due to like sentimental touch?
Yeah, it's my babies. My costumes are my babies. And usually when I'm stressed or, well, I have a depression, so sometimes that can kick in, I just brush my wigs. It's the most calming thing ever, like, my baby's brushing my wigs.
Maybe a cat.
Yeah, I can't, I'm allergic to cats. I have a snake, that's all. My pet snake. Yeah, he usually looks at me like, what the fuck do you want? But also, do you have food? He's like, food?
That's what cats do, anyway.
Yeah.
Give the snake away.
Yeah. My baby snake. He keeps me company during the late cosplay.
Maybe all purple for him.
Yeah, I want him to be bigger, but he's a corn snake, so we won't be big. Because I would love to have a big snake like walking around the car, like, yeah, you see my snake? I mean, who wouldn't have like a dog that could dress up in costumes? That would be the best. That's like cosplayers' dream, but yeah, dogs. Allergies.
Yes, have you ever cosplayed some sort of thing, not a person, but a thing?
Thing.
Like
The monsters, I guess. They're kind of a thing. They're dead. I guess. Let's see. 15 years of cosplays. I must have done something like that. What did I do in the past? In my Weibo years, what did I do? A ton of costumes. No, I don't think actually I've cosplayed a thing yet. But just monsters, like that stuff. So I guess like the giant Magini costumes and stuff like that, they're kind of thingy. Because they're 2 meters tall and guys. Usually all the coolest like monsters are male. I don't really get it. Like I would love to have a female awesome monster girl, but no. We need to look pretty in bikinis.
If you won the lottery this evening and sat down to make your ultimate cosplay, what would you cosplay as?
I've been working on the Judgment Armor, the male version from World of Warcraft. Maybe that one I will finish that one because I never finished it. That was like one of the examples. I decided to start working on it 1 month before the con, and I was like, I can't make it that awesome. So it's been up in my attic for 2 years. So maybe that one, or let's see, something bigger. Lots of props, if someone is carrying my props. But I've already made like my dream one. That was the Witch Doctor one. I didn't have that. Yeah, armors. I would make armors. Lots of armors, because it's so expensive. So yeah. And now it's the end of the year, so I'm getting kind of tired of doing costumes. But I know as soon as New Year's hit, it's like 2015, here we go, all the costumes. Because now I get tired, so it's like, I don't want to make a costume. Except my Yami Bjork. Because yeah. See, do we have something in there? Yes, you!
On the subject of overheating, aside from staying hydrated, might you recommend any ways of mitigating?
ways of like keeping it down for limit?
I think most fursuiters, they're using fans, of course. That's a classic. And try to have the parts removable. So if you have a huge armor, make them always removable. Don't glue yourself into a costume. That's like the worst. Or sew yourself into. I know it's really nice to do it, but don't do it. Because if you're starting to overheat, it's like get everything off. At a convention that I was attending, it was actually a guy in an Iron Man suit that was made out of craft foam, and he couldn't remove the parts. So when he was going up on stage, he just fell backwards. Like he was standing like this and just fell backwards, and they had to carry him out. It looked so fun. I know I'm terrible, but it looked so much fun. He was like a snake, like fall down, and we're like, oh, he's dead. Kill Iron Man. Thank you guys. So that's one thing. Stay hydrated. I think it's also possible to buy. Do I have a fursuiter in here? Yeah, you! What do you call these? You know, you have like cooling systems with water running in them?
You can buy like the stuff that they use for NASCAR and like brain surgeons and things to stay normal. But they're usually really bulky. You're best off with like 50p disposable like first aid cool packs because you just break the seal and instant cool.
Yeah.
I was talking to a cosplayer fursuiter about a month ago. What he did was got a few of those cool packs, but he then got like a bit of silicone kind of stuff.
Like injuries and stuff.
Yeah, silicone absorbs cold quite well, so he just put that like stretched out along his back and put the pads down.
Yeah.
It seems to work very well for him.
I made a fursuit. That was my Bellafor cosplay from Final Fantasy. I did that once. I have so much respect for fursuiters. I was like, I will never make one because I can stand the heat. I'm one of those people that like, if I get started to overheat, I will just fall down dead, I guess. So yeah, And always there's a lot of forums, especially for pursuiters and armor builders. So Google and see if you find something new, because people always find new techniques all the time. So be updated about this stuff we can do.
Well, when you have that continuity of the idea to have a camelback, you can always have water with it.
Yeah, one of those sports thingies that have when they run, I think. Yeah, that's super smart. Oh, yeah, water would be nice. I will drink later. Let me think. You. Yeah.
My diabetes is acting up, sorry.
Over the course of the convention weekend or whatever, if it's a convention weekend, you ever had a last minute decision to modify a cosplay into something that would be the same but different?
Yeah, rip stuff. That's a classic. Like something is got stuck or something, and you're like, just rip it apart. Like rip it, and then I cover it with something. I'm like, it looks great, but it's totally destroyed underneath. But they won't see it. So yeah, of course. And I mean, shit happens. That's the deal. I think a good cosplayer is actually those who can work under stress and like they don't have the perfect costumes. They can invent new stuff on the run, like the rarity one. Like cry and then you think something out.
Words for cosplayers to live by. Shit happens.
Yeah, shit happens. Yeah, and shit will happen always. Even how much you're prepared for it, it will happen always. So let's see what the time is. Yeah. What cause? I think like a classic one is when if I go to the convention floor and people want to take pictures, I'm like, yeah. And then like the security guys are like, you can stand here. You're standing in the way, and you're like, yeah, but I just want to take one picture, and then like stuff happens. So that happens all the time. And let's see, props. There was some security issues because I was cosplaying Freddy Krueger and I had the glove, and they were like, well, those are sharp. I'm like, they are not sharp. I promise you, because it blunted edges, but they thought still that I could kill someone with it. So I have to like sneak it. Like, I don't want to go against security, but still, sometimes you need to like sneak stuff into the convention. And also, if you're scared about that, sneak stuff. Don't have your costume on. Put it on when you're inside the convention, because then the security guys and the entry
What's the best cosplay you've ever seen?
Ooh. Like, I don't want to name drop all my friends. That's so hard because they're so different, all of them. Let's see some of my friends. I like armor, so that's good. That's a hard question. I like armors. I usually watch the BlizzCon cosplay competition. That's like one of my favorites for armor because they only make armor. It's like a ton of armor. So I would say maybe some. The meeting stone was kind of fun. This stuff. That was pretty good. Or like the board in the box. That was fun. Yeah, I can't really decide because there's so many of them. I'm playing a lot of League of Legends, so maybe some League costume. I've seen a really good Thresh cosplay actually from a French guy who had it at Gamescom. It was amazing. I think that was my top one, like my top favorite one. Of course, there's like cosplay heroes or people I look up to into costuming. And my friend Etaru Cosplay from the US, she was the one who got me into JPopCon, which is still my favorite convention, like the first one I ever went to abroad. So I think her costumes are really good. But I try, usually when I meet a cosplayer that I'm inspired with, I'm always trying to like take bits that I like from their costumes for them and like add it into my own stuff. Because then you grow as a cosplayer, then you don't do the same things all over again. I like to do different stuff. Otherwise it gets so boring. I can't do monotone stuff, I will get bored. Basically, so. You!
Hi, when you do use armor, do you do the one that you do like sounding with them?
No, I don't actually. Mostly because allergic stuff. So I'm usually using like super basic cutting knives, heat gun, and glue gun. Yeah, because I am allergic to a lot of stuff, and two-bedroom apartment. I don't have room. And some of the fumes when you're using that stuff is really toxic. So, but I would love to do it if I could. So you should try it if you could. Yeah, it's fun. Lots of tutorials and stuff like that. Let's see. Anyone else? Ah, everyone looks satisfied. Oh!
Do you ever get worried about a lot of these cosplays getting a bit too skimpy and showing a lot of flesh off? And that could cause a lot of problems and risk for the cosplayer himself.
Herself.
Or himself.
Yeah, or himself. If you want to show yourself off, just do it. I mean, we're all born in a body, so why not show it off? And I don't care how you look, just show it off. No, I don't. I think the sad part is you have to think about like the outside world. The outside world sucks. I never go outside. I'm always home with my computer and just doing my costumes. I hate normal people. So yeah, but I would say the only thing is if you're underage, that would be a problem because adult people could take advantage of you, and maybe you can have like a parental guardian or something like that. But otherwise than that, if you want to cosplay in a bikini, why not? It's like YOLO. Yeah, who gives a shit? Like, if you want to wear a bikini or like skimpy costume, why not? But you have to be ready of the assholes on the outside world. Like, prepare yourself mentally. I had some really fun stuff happen to me when I wore like skimpy costume. One guy was like, "Does your dad know that you're wearing that?" And I was like, "I'm 25. I moved away from home when I was 18, and my dad always, when I was younger, he said he got me money for costumes. I was like, "Here, have some money, make a costume, go to crazy convention." Because he's the nerd in the family, so be prepared for assholes. I guess you can say it like that. Be prepared for assholes, and be prepared that normal people or convention people are not ready for your awesomeness and your awesome body. Cosplay what the fuck you want, okay? Don't listen to people. People sucks. I mean, if I listened to people, I would never have made my dream cosplay the witch doctor one. Because everyone's like, but that's a guy, and you have to be topless, and you can't be topless, and you have to wear body paint. And I was like, you know what? Screw you. I want to make it for me. Always make my costumes for me. It's my costumes. It's my money. That's usually, if someone comes up to you like, I hate your costumes. There's two ways I usually do it. You can compliment them. I love your t-shirt. Oh, I also love random pony. So you can compliment them, because if you're complimenting someone who is insulting you, they're like, yeah, what you gotta do? Like, Yami was totally a bitch. She complimented my t-shirt. Or as a staff, always like security staff. If someone is telling like, that guy, he's an asshole, you please, and tell them what happened, of course. And the third one is don't mind them, or tell them, good for you. That's usually what I'm saying, good for you. Your wings doesn't look like Fluttershy, good for you. Or try that you don't understand English. I am from Sweden, I don't understand English, I am sorry. And then you're walking away. Because people will insult you, trust me, they will insult you online or in real life. I've had people coming up to me, especially with MLP costumes, and like, it doesn't look like Luna. And I was like, no, she's a horse. Yeah, so stuff like that. And usually with skimpy costumes, costumes, you get like weird, really weird, especially guys, but some females also, like you get some really strange stuff people are telling you. I had one guy at Crystal FairCon, he was like, I will have a private pony convention in my apartment in Sweden and you're invited. I was like, thanks! I would think about that. He was like, if a girl would ask me, I would totally have gone. Like, I'm all for girls. Yeah, I'm like, girls, I do anything for girls. So, yeah, sadly, you have to be prepared for the other world. And block people, of course. If people are bugging you on Facebook, just block them. They're not worth it. You put that time into your costume instead. Just block them. That's usually what I do. I'm like, nah. And also, I mean, even if you make video game characters or film characters, you can't look like them. They're photo shoot, they're movie stars. You can't look like them if you're not spending a ton of money on, I guess, plastic surgery and stuff like that. If you think it's worth it, do it. But I wouldn't do it. I want to look like me in a costume. I will be judging the cosplay show later, and what I'm actually looking for in a cosplayer is, I don't want to see them as the character. I want to see them, like their personality in the character, adding their own stuff into the character, what makes their costume special. Maybe they added something, let's say for example, Trash from League, for example. If I would have made Trash, I would have concentrated more on the souls and more of his duty as a shame warden. So maybe adding some personal stuff that only the lore says about him. That's stuff I love when I am judging. Because, you know, if someone, let's say 10 girls are cosplaying Pinkie Pie and they all look the same, how can I judge them? But if they all have something very personal, they will stand out from the crowd and I will see them and they will explain to me why they are special. That's what I love. Like, I want to see them in a costume. Because that's also one thing, because I have tattoos, and I know some cosplayers have piercings, and it's always that battle, like, should I cover my piercings? Should I cover my tattoos? I would have to say, if you would like to, but I don't like it. I hate when people are telling me that, like, but Fluttershy doesn't have tattoos. And I'm like, they're on my skin. I don't want to cover them because they mean so much to me. They're part of me. And I guess it could be the same with glasses. If you have glasses and you really want to have them on, just have them on. You're paying for the costume. So why should you listen to someone else? It's your money. You!
Yeah, but don't you just go to character? I mean, if you're someone playing character, you kind of...
I love to see people in character on stage. That's usually what I love. I've been into character when I'm doing zombie stuff. Because I can't like stand like this when I'm doing zombie, I'm more like this. I love to see it, but I don't do it that often myself. Only on stage and in photography. But I love to see it, so. If you want to, and you're not bothering the other visitors at the convention, it's okay. Because, I mean, you've always seen those, like, people who are running around. I would say, the worst thing I hate at conventions is when people are running around and there's cosplayers around them, because I'm always thinking about the cosplayers. Just one guy can trip and fall into a pair of wings or whatever. So don't run at conventions. And if you want to be in character, be in character. I love to see it.
Yeah,
as long as you're not creepy.
Yeah, because if we're trying to be a character, then at least kind of maybe act like it. Because you were saying, oh, just be yourself. But,
yeah.
You know, how they kind of know it's that person.
Yeah, that's the deal. Like, are they that character? I mean, I love to see some people who are really in character. That gentleman Discord, he is good because he is in character, but he'll still be himself when you talk to him. But it could be fun to, like, of course, furries or furry-sonas or something. So. Do what you want. That's like, do what you want. Cosplay is for everyone. Do what you want. Let's see, 10 minutes. We have 10 minutes. 5 minutes. We have 5 minutes. My Swedish crew are telling me. You.
Sorry for
No, I'm here.
Okay.
Ask me.
What do you with your boots if you were playing a character without boots?
Yeah, cross-dressing. Usually chest binders. You can buy those on eBay. They're usually used for transsexual girls. So that's also real. That's even better if you're buying authentic stuff than just like doing it yourself, I guess. I've seen some girls who wrap their boobs in duct tape. I've seen it as well, and I'm like, don't do it, girls, please, or guys, don't do it. Okay, don't wrap anything with duct tape. I have seen that also. Yeah. So usually chest binders, because I'm doing Alba, the dramatic murder guy, this December. So I actually bought 2 chest binders because of big boobs. So like I put one on and then the other one, and then maybe a top underneath, and then like, yeah. I wish I had small boobs. It would be so much easier to make pretty guys. Yeah, yeah. But just search chest binders at eBay, and you will find a ton of stuff. It's really fun.
Not to really cosplay. Who's your favourite LoL character?
LoL?
LoL, League of Legends.
Trish. I mean, I play him as a support, duh. But it really depends because we're usually 4 people in my team because the other guys are playing CS. Yeah. So it's usually like first pick, and the random is of course playing mid. So and my main role is mid, but then I have to our stupid AD carry guy, my friend. But otherwise I'm playing mid, of course. And right now I'm playing mostly Heimer or Ziggs. My all-time favorite is actually Karthus, because he's a lich and zombie obsessed horror fanatic girl. But Trish is like, I mean Trish. So yeah, Trish is my favorite. He's cool, and you know his rhyme. It reminds me of Freddy Krueger. Yeah. Yeah. He's cool. Fire shock. Yeah.
Do you like or hate chemo?
I hate the rat. It depends. If he's in my team and he's killing people like crazy, I love him. But I will kill that shitty rat if he's in my opposite team. It's like, you know how it is. Like if they're playing a Teemo, that's what you're going for. You don't care about the AD carry. You're just playing that Teemo. Take him down because yeah. But I love Gnar.
What about Dark?
Gnar? I want to cosplay him. But like,
What about Megan?
he's also cute. I don't judge people. I think it's actually, we are done, guys.